G'day gorgeous, it's Amanda Jane and I so appreciate you tuning in to today's podcast that empowers women for life. Today's hot topic is on relationships and I'm going to be answering a question I got from one of our ladies inside our select community, and the headline is, Amanda, please help. My partner continually knocks everything I do, and on this podcast you will get real, raw and relatable stories and answers and insights, ideas and proven life success steps that can really help you overcome frustrations and help you live a life that you love, and a life by design, not by default, no matter where you are, and it doesn't matter who you are or where you've been. I'm Amanda Jane Clarkson. I'm a best-selling author, inspirational speaker, entrepreneur and a world-leading wealth and lifestyle coach for women. And to find out how I can help you design and live your dream life too, and more about the mentoring, you can head over to my website, gdaygorgeous.com, or click in the link in the notes below. Good morning, gorgeous butterflies. Anybody there? Looking forward to today's first live podcast, answering a frustrating question from one of our butterflies. So you'll see me looking at my screen, looking back at you ladies. I hope you have your journal on hand and a diary, your Life by Design companion diary, which I don't have right with me right this second because I've just been using it, and turn to one of the pages in your journal because you will be taking notes, because what I'm going to share with you is just, golden life gems, lessons that we can all learn from, because what this issue is, or this frustration that Jess has, that I think all of us have gone through. And I want you to turn to a page in your journal that says my perfect, whatever you want to put up there. In this case, today's lesson is around relationships and Jess's frustration. I'm going to read out the question and then I'm going to jump straight into coming up with some ideas, strategies, and hopefully easing her frustration. So she says, help me, please. My partner continually knocks everything that I do. The way I dress, my cooking, even the way I deal with situations and my friends. When we are out, he compares me with all of his friends and my friends, but I'm too scared to stick up for myself because I know I will cop it when we are alone. Not physically, just a snide remark and then silence, slamming doors, etc. I just find it easier to take it just to keep the peace. Now, who hasn't been in a relationship in a similar situation in their life? I mean, I know I have on my whole journey of life. This sounds like something that I have experienced. If you've experienced, put yourself in her shoes. By the way, her name's not really Jess. I've just made this name up just to protect people's names. But give me a thumbs up if you have experienced a similar situation to Jess in your younger years, or even perhaps now, and you understand how she feels. I remember looking back into my history, into my past, and the relationships that I've had in my youth, when I didn't understand communication, didn't understand myself, I didn't understand my own true intrinsic values and what was important for me. I was really ruled by my emotions. And if you've had that same experience, give me a thumbs up or a love heart, just so that I know we are on the same page, because I always like to say these lives and these podcasts are relatable to real life. They're real and they're raw because, as women, who hasn't had an experience like this? And, when I was young, I honestly didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to pull myself out of that situation. And like some other women out there, I found myself getting pushed around, what I perceived to be getting pushed around by a partner that I didn't feel knew me, or I didn't feel understood me or cared about me. However, as years have rolled on and I've learnt to empower myself, I've really studied personal empowerment for the past 22 years, I've learned a few things. And these are the things, ladies, that I would really love to share with you today. And that's why I say get your journal out and be ready to write down some gems, golden life success gems that will help you ease these frustrations that we all often feel in relationships. Now, these relationships I'm talking could be with a life partner, a family member, a child, anything, a friend, a co-worker, all different people. And really, it comes down to questioning yourself. And if somebody had said that to me when I was much younger, I wouldn't have really understood, because I can honestly say that I used to look on the outside and point the finger and blame other people for the way I was feeling. I mean, give me a thumbs up if you have done that. Look on the outside of yourself, blaming other people for the way you feel inside a relationship, not understanding the hurt and the pain and where it comes from, and always wanting to be in control, but never feeling in control. And I learnt when I was very young that I couldn't control another person. I can only control myself. It is so good to see so many of you on this call. So here's what I want you to start writing down in one of your pages in the journal. This can be on a blank page before you go to the other page that I said, my perfect relationships. Look, it can be one relationship or many relationships that you will have in your lifetime. Just let me turn to the page. They look, feel, sound, taste, and smell like. And you'll see why in a minute. So first thing that I want to say is, this is what I've learned from my years of studying human behavior, personal empowerment, that our perceptions in life create our experience. So I want you to write this down and think about this in your life. Our perceptions create our experiences. So what might be a really frustrating relationship for you, from another person's perspective, they may not see it the same way as you. And this is why I'm a big believer that the more you empower yourself, the more you learn about yourself and who you are as a person is critical, so that you can go through the rest of your life creating amazing relationships. First of all, though, it begins with you. And I want to share with you the 3 different types of relationships that I have learned through my years and years of studying about human potential and human empowerment. The first type of relationship that I learned from one of my mentors is about a careless relationship. Now, a careless relationship, and perhaps thinking back in your life, I can certainly think back in my own life that I have been in careless relationships, and in fact I have been the careless person, where I didn't think about the other person's needs. I didn't know how to communicate in terms that meant something to them. I always was putting myself first and not really thinking about or caring about another person. So think about in your life, on whose life you are having a careless relationship with. Is it yourself? Are you careless about the relationship you have with yourself and others? And these are the questions, and you might want to write down in your journal as I'm talking about this. Who are these people that you're having careless relationships with? Your partner, your children, yourself, your certain friends, colleagues, people in your community, your church group, your environment. Think about the relationships and ask yourself, and be truthful with yourself. And that's the hardest thing, because we often say, oh no, that's not me. I wouldn't do that. I'm not that type of person. However, what I do know is that for every trait that we see in another person, we have within ourselves. And for some of us, including myself in the past, it was a hard pill to swallow, because I would say, no, that's not me. I'm not that type of person. But when I really did the work and I really looked deep within myself, I realized that everything I saw within another person, at some stage, I saw within myself. Or if I couldn't see it in myself, others might see it in me. So that's an interesting statement, isn't it? The next type of relationship is what we call a careful relationship. A careful relationship is more when you're so worried about what other people think about you, what other people are going to say, trying to conform around society, other people's ideals, other people's ideas, their own beliefs, put you in a space where you're very, very careful about being your truthful self. So what that ends up creating is a person who kind of walks on eggshells. So think about past relationships, current relationships, and ask yourself, which of those relationships am I being really careful about? Too frightened to speak my mind, too frightened to have a voice or an opinion or share my own truths and my own values, and I hold it inside because I'm a people pleaser. I certainly have been like that in my past, and I look at myself all the time now and I ask myself, the relationships that I'm in now, how am I treating these relationships? Am I being my true self? Am I saying what I really believe, or always trying to fit in? It's kind of like a square peg in a round hole, as the saying goes, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Then the third relationship that I want to bring up, but I want you to write this down, ladies, and think about your life and your relationships. Caring relationships. Now, a caring relationship goes for self and others. And that's why I say, instead of looking on the outside for happiness, it first begins with you, self-love. And so a caring relationship is when you care enough about yourself to really know yourself, be yourself and love yourself. Write those down. Know, be, and love yourself. And then learn to communicate in your own values, but also with other people's values. Now, this was a lesson that I have been working on and I've had to learn for years. You know, I've been married for 22 years. I've had lots of partners in the past, and this goes back to Jess's frustration, looking on the outside and always feeling like it's another person's problem, not us. And I've had to learn over the past 22 years being married that to stay in a relationship, to keep a harmonious relationship, and of course in life there's ups and downs, positives and negatives. Life isn't one side. We talk about this all the time inside our community of how we can communicate in each other's value systems. Not just about me, but care enough about myself to know my true self. And I think, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of women lately, and, people talk about anxiety, they talk about depression, feelings of hopelessness, spit it out, Amanda, hopelessness, feelings of not being seen, not feeling heard, a little bit about, like Jess says here with her biggest frustration, feeling compared to other people, feeling abused in a way, but not physically, more emotionally and mentally. But really, you've got to ask yourself, where do those feelings come from? They come from our own perceptions. They come from our own view of the world. And these are the lessons that I've had to learn. Instead of cajoling and trying to get my husband, Matt, to fit into what I wanted, I needed to learn, first of all, to love myself, to know what my true intrinsic values were. Now, when I say intrinsic values, ladies, I'm talking about things that are meaningful to me, things that are important to me. And we have done many, many seminars, had many mentors to help us understand this and learn these things. Then me learning to communicate in terms of my husband's values, which are different than mine. And this is the beautiful thing about being in a relationship. We each have our own unique values, things that are important to us, and then learning to communicate in terms of what's important to each other instead of being dependent on each other is how I've learned from my own experience to have a harmonious relationship for a long term. Now, I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong. I'm just sharing an experience here and things that I've learned. And so those 3 types of relationships, careless, careful, and caring, ask yourself, where do you sit in that space? And here's the thing, the most important relationship, and I've said it many times, is the relationship you have with you, your inner being, before you look on the outside. So if you're single right now and you would love to attract a relationship into your life, or a great friend, or have a relationship with a sibling, or a relationship with a child, you've got to ask yourself first, what is the relationship I'm having with myself? Because as we talk about inside this community, we understand that we're all vibrational. We're vibrational beings. And we vibrate on a certain level and we attract into our life the same things or the same situations or the same people that are vibrating on a similar level to us. And so here's a couple of questions. Here's a couple of things that I want you to write down in your journal and really think about today. Ponder on it and ask yourself, how am I showing up in my life? What am I attracting? Because whatever relationship you're in right now, you've attracted it, whether you know it or not, whether we believe it or not. And I agree, sometimes these are really hard lessons to swallow, hard to think about, because we're looking on the outside of ourselves and saying, that person is doing this to me, or why is this person doing this to me? But really, are they? Are you just showing up? Are you in that space and you've attracted that person? And here's a couple of things that I've learnt through my mentors and going through a 22-year marriage myself. The questions that I've learned to ask and think about that's helped us become more harmonious, helped us understand each other's values and appreciate each other for who we are, instead of pointing the finger and saying, coulda, shoulda, woulda. You have to be like this. You have to be like that to make me happy. Now, I'm saying this because really it's kind of like a confession. I used to be this person who tried to get Matt to fit into what I wanted him to be like, saying, you have to do this to make me happy. You have to be that type of person to make me happy. When really, Matt is here to make himself happy. He has his own values. And when I learnt that, it was a real shift. It was a real game changer for our own relationship. And here's some of the things that I've learnt along my way. And write these down in your journals, girls, and ask yourself these questions when we finish this podcast today. What does your vibration say about you? What level are you vibrating at? Are you happy on the inside, so therefore you attract more happiness, better opportunities, different people into your life? Or are you looking on the outside of yourself to find happiness from another person who can't possibly show up and make you happy for the rest of your life? You know, happiness is an inner game. It truly is, with relationships, with love, with money, with your job, your career, your business. In fact, every single area of your life, it begins with you. It's an inner game. And so in your relationships, would you say that you're dependent on another person or independent? Now, I have to say for myself and my own experience, if ever I tried to depend on another person for my happiness, for money, to show up how I needed them to show up to make me happy, I was miserable. I could never get it right until I realized that the true attractiveness comes from being an independent person, but being in a relationship because I chose to, not because I needed to be in one. And so the question is that I would ask myself, and perhaps you can ask yourself as well, do I choose to be in a relationship, or do I need to be in a relationship? It's a really interesting question. It sounds like an obvious question, but if you're anything like me, I got it wrong so many times. I had so many relationships that I thought were really bad relationships, but really I needed to look in the mirror and take that responsibility for myself. And that's how, for myself, I've been able to have a 22-year relationship with Matt the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the positive, the negative, ebb and flow, because that is life. However, working on ourselves more than anything else has helped us move through the toughest of times. And man, we've been through some really tough times, personally, emotionally, physically, financially, all these things. But we've got through them together because as a couple, we choose to be together, but we are independent in our thinking and our values. And I want you to write that down, independent in the things that are important for us. So just to give you an insight, my top values, my top things in life that are really important for me are my health and well-being is my number one. Then business, I absolutely love. I call it my vocation. This is my vocation, what I do right now. Helping people live their best life, helping people go from frustrated to fabulous. You women is what I love to do, my second highest value. And then my third highest value is I love socializing and friendships and having fun. And when I look around me, I surround myself with the things I love. However, my partner, my relationship, his highest values are a little bit different than mine. Surfing is highest on Matthew's values. And so I learned over the years that if I wanted a happy, successful relationship for a longer period of time, I don't know how long it'll last, hopefully for the rest of my life, but you never know, right? Then I needed to respect his values. And instead of looking for the things I didn't like, I used to make positive aspects or lists of all the things that I appreciate in that person. So looking at your relationship, Jess, this is getting back to Jess. This is for everyone in a relationship. I'm talking to the collective here. And even an email I got from Yvonne this morning. This is for everyone. If you're in a relationship right now and you are not feeling loved or heard or respected, and you're feeling like that person is not treating you like you deserve to be treated, then during the good times, write down the things that you really love and admire about that person, because here's what I've learned along my journey, ladies, and I'm seeing all of your amazing comments come through. I promise when I finish this podcast today, girls, I will get inside our community and I'll respond to each and every one of you. Give me a thumbs up or a love hearts, girls, if this is hitting the spot and you're getting some golden gems. I really love the feedback, and that's why I'm excited to be doing these live podcasts with our community of gorgeous butterflies. And I can see the comments coming through, but I will get to you. Thank you all. I love these love hearts. Girls, I am a love heart tart. And I hope you're writing some notes down and learning some things based on my experience and all of these lessons and your life lessons as well. And so what I learned through so many mentors to get through these tough times of when I was trying to put the blame or the responsibility onto the other person for my happiness, I would write down lists of things that I loved about that person. Well, what attracted me in the first place? What are the things that I admire? Because here's what I know. Every human being, you ladies, me, and every person out there wants to be loved for who they are. And that always brings the tear to my eyes, because I remember when I was going through a really tough time in my own relationship and I was really hard on Matt. And, we came to this crossroads in our relationship, and I'm not trying to make this about myself. I want you to put yourself in my shoes and hopefully learn from these experiences. We were going through a really tough time and we were asking ourselves, are we going to make it? We had financial problems. I couldn't understand that our relationship wasn't working really well because we were trying to make the other person responsible for our happiness, and we were questioning it. And I remember my husband said to me, he said, I just can't be that person that you're trying to make me be. I'm just not that person. I want to live my own dreams. This is the person I am. Can't you love me just for who I am? And it was such a kick in the guts for me. It was such a wake-up call. And, I want you to put yourself in my shoes and think about your relationships. Are you being that person that is expecting other people to be the happiness for you? And thankfully, through so many mentors and so much work, we got through that. And I realized that It wasn't Matt's job to make me happy. We are two separate entities that chose to come together and create our dream life, but still be independent of neediness. Because, I remember when I needed him to be something that he couldn't be, it wasn't attractive. And he, thankfully, was truthful enough to let me know. And thinking about your own relationships, have you been in that space? And are you expecting so much from another person that they can't possibly be for you? And so I wrote down in my journal, that's why I'm so big on journaling, ladies. I wrote down over 200 positive aspects that I loved and I admired about Matt, all of the things, the qualities that I saw in him that really I had in myself and vice versa. And then I did it on myself. I did the 200 things that I get you ladies to do, 200 things that you love about yourself. And when you truly bring love into perspective and bring yourself back to equilibrium, which is a space of peace, and see that it's perfect and, you don't need fixing. You can see that you just need this understanding that we were able to move through that really tough time and space in our relationship. And that's what I would say to Jess and anybody else out there, is that it is okay to want different things in life. And first of all, it's not about running away from a relationship. First of all, working on yourself, finding the positive aspects about you and them before you run away. Visualize the partner that you want. And that's why in your journal here, I say, turn to the page and visualize what would you love your perfect relation to look like, feel like, sound like, taste and smell like. That sounds exciting, doesn't it, girls? Talking about relationships. Anything in your life, you need to write it down and visualize it, bring it to life, have images and feel worthy, because when you write it down, I believe from my own experience, and give me a thumbs up or a love heart if you ladies have experienced this too, that it elevates your self-worth. It elevates your inner love for yourself. And if you write down who that perfect person is, or that relationship that you want to attract into your life, the question then I'd ask myself is, well, how am I showing up in the world? Am I vibrating on that level that I would attract that person into my life? Because if I'm vibrating at a really low level, being negative and expecting other people to show up and make me happy, I would not be able to vibrate at the level required to attract what I want to attract into my life. The next thing I want you to write down is, what will you tolerate from this point on? Now, when I say tolerate from yourself. For me, I had to no longer tolerate beating up on myself and expecting another person to show up and make my life perfect, make me happy, make me feel confident, make me feel worthy. I needed to do that for myself. And I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to tolerate the toxic talk that held me back. And that's where those 200 positive or loving things came from. Writing them down really elevated my self-worth about who I was. And so write down in your journal, what are you no longer willing to tolerate, first of all from yourself and then another person. And through many past relationships that I've had, I've been thankful for each and every one of them, because I've learned so many lessons, as I'm sure you have, that there are certain things that I won't tolerate. And I've just learnt that eventually I just left that relationship, just vibrated out of that relationship. I used to try and make another person wrong, but these days I realise now that birds of a feather may flock together, and that I just move out of the relationships or the circles of relationships that just don't serve me any longer. It's not that there's something wrong with that person or those people. I've just moved to a different vibrational level. I'm just choosing different things for myself. So I hope you're writing these little notes down, and give me a message here, a little thumbs up or something if this is really resonating with you. Are you feeling anything inside of you and feeling a shift and seeing that the best relationships in life show up when the best of you shows up? Such an important thing to know, because I know so many people in this community and external of this community. If you're listening in out there, I thank you. Look at all these little love hearts. God, I love you girls. That, relationships can be frustrating. And I've even said it myself, and I hear so many people say, I'm looking for the perfect partner, Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, and, always looking. I would say the best lesson that I ever got is look in the mirror. That's where the best person's going to show up. Look in the mirror and become the change that you want to see in others. And Jess, if you're listening to this podcast, I hope you're writing copious amounts of notes, gorgeous, because there are so many golden nuggets in this lesson that I wish I'd have known much sooner when I was younger. Anyway, I might have had less boyfriends, as my husband says. That's a whole nother story. And then, what can you teach another? So instead of trying to fix a relationship or fix the partner in your relationship, here's what I've learned. You work on you, because you can't change them. All you can do is change you. Change the way you think. Change the way you feel. Change the way you speak to yourself and another person, because you'll learn to communicate in terms of your values and their values. I'm not talking about society's values. I'm talking about inner values, things that are meaningful for you. You start to change all that, and you start to vibrate at a different level without even trying to fix the other person. They will either match you and bring up to your vibration, or you will vibrate out of each other's life. That is just the way it works. It's just a universal law. And so the thing is this, ladies, write this down in your journal. What can I teach another? And we talk about the butterfly effect, and you being the butterfly effect and impacting and affecting other people's lives from all that you learn. So from your relationship with yourself, what could you teach another? Instead of trying to fix your relationship, work on yourself and help them vibrate at a higher level. And that has been my own experience with my husband, Matt. When we were at that crossroads, I remember we were standing down the driveway. We've got a 3-story doll's house. Well, I say we live in this doll's house. It's blue and white, kind of like a Hampton-style house. And I remember this day we were standing down in the driveway talking about, are we going to make this relationship work? Are we ready to walk away and throw in the towel? It's so easy. I mean, what is the divorce rate out there? 52% now? It's so easy to blame another person, throw in the towel and walk away and go, stuff it. I'll find somebody else to make me happy. Well, I know that walking away, throwing in the towel and looking for somebody else to make you happy was never going to work, because you just keep turning up with the same expectation on another poor bugger out there, And I remember we were standing in the driveway. He was crying, and he had tears in his eyes. He'd welled up because we'd had amazing, first 10 years or something. And I was crying, and we had to make that decision. We had to make that really tough decision. Easy to walk away, hard to work on yourself, isn't it? And we made a decision standing in that driveway that what we had was so important, so special for us, that we were worth working on. We said we're going to get help. We're going to work harder on ourselves, get a mentor, get around a community of other people who are prepared to work on themselves and work on ourselves and see how it went. And I thank God every day that we made that decision, that we were empowered enough in our own selves that we made that decision to go, you know what? You don't have to show up for me. I'll show up for me. I'll do the work on myself. And so think about that. And then we taught each other. We went on this journey together. And 22 years later, girls, we are still here. Now, I'm not saying it's all perfect. I'm just a normal human being like everyone else. But I'm happy. I'm in a happy, good space, because I'm not relying on him for my happiness. We're together. We make our plans and we have dreams and things we want to create together. However, we're two separate beings. And sometimes he does things that I don't want to do. I do things that he's not interested in. And it's great, isn't it? Then we come together and we talk about plans together. You've heard me talk about it a little bit. So what else can you teach your partner or a child or a sister or someone that you co-work with, and see if you can be that butterfly effect? You don't have to talk about it, just be. Start to vibrate. And Jessie, this is what I would say to you, girlfriend. You don't have to run away from the relationship. Maybe you can work on yourself, find more self-worth, because you are attracting this relationship. You've attracted it for some reason. What is the lesson that you're getting from it? There is a lack of self-love, a lack of self-worth somewhere there, because we get in life what we tolerate. Whether we like to hear it or not, it's a hard pill to swallow for some of us. We get what we tolerate. If you don't like it, change you. Vibrate higher. Are you communicating in other people's value systems? And so I'll give you a very quick example. Matt loves to surf. I love to go to the beach. I love personal development, self-empowerment stuff. Or, Matt helps me with this. So he helps me with my podcast. He will help me get this out there onto the World Wide Web. I am not a techie type of person. And so we would talk. I'll say, well, why don't you go for a surf? Then when you finish surfing, we could do this, that, and the other. And so we know what is important for each other. And we're always trying to say, well, how can you have your needs met? How can I have my needs met and still move together towards our own goals and dreams? Does that make sense? It's not all about me and it's not all about him. We've just learnt to come together. So ask yourself in your relationship, am I careless, careful, which is low self-worth, low self-love? Careless is your altruistic, putting yourself up on a pedestal and the other person in a pit. You think you've got it all worked out. Or are you caring, learning better communication skills because you care enough about you and them? Which brings me to the overdog and the underdog. Here's something that I learned from one of my mentors. If you're an underdog in your relationship, which is when you're walking on eggshells, you're too careful, you feel needy, like you're dependent on another person, you will want to try and hold on to that relationship and kind of strangle them. That's where jealousy comes from, resentment. You can't let them out of your sight. You're going, where are you? You're texting them 24/7. You don't trust them to be out of your sight. And then if you're the overdog, where that's more of a careless relationship, you want your freedom because you're going to feel tied down, like somebody's relying on you, and it's suffocating. Sometimes we go through these relationships. I know I've had those relationships. Have you had them? Give me a thumbs up or a love heart, ladies, if you are gelling with everything I'm saying here and you can see yourself in some of my stories, the overdog and the underdog, the caring, the careless, and the careful. Where do you see yourself in there? So I want you to put yourself in my shoes. Love hearts galore here. Good, I'm not the only one out there. As I said, this is relating to everyone, I hope. And then the last couple of things I want to say, ladies, how long have we been here? I better wrap this up. I'm going over time. I'm excited. Is desire versus belief. If you truly want to attract an amazing relationship into your life, you'll desire that, and you'll write this in your journal. My perfect relationship. Look, feels, liked, smells, tastes, sounds like. I've said it a couple of times now. And you'll start to fill that in your journal on one of these beautiful pages inside here. Here's my question. You have the desire for the relationship of your dreams, whether it's with your partner, friends, children, community, co-workers, but does your belief match it? And that's a question I would love you to ponder on today. I know you can answer it. Does your belief match your desire? Because if it doesn't, you will keep attracting similar to what you're attracting. So if you don't like what you've attracted into your life, you need to shift your belief. Believe before you see. Don't be like most other people, the masses, where you must see before you believe. And then I would always say this, luck, finding that amazing relationship. People say, you're so lucky, you've got the perfect partner. This luck's got nothing to do with it, ladies. Luck is simply preparation meeting opportunity. So what I mean by that, the more you work on yourself, the more you become prepared, become that vibrational being that attracts that partner into your life that you truly want, where you vibrate higher and you have a caring relationship, caring about you, them, how you interact. That is the preparation, and then opportunity is everywhere. It's almost like going, woo back, take a ticket, woo back. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but that's where the opportunity comes from. Doors open, people walk into your life. You are attracting in your energy, in your physical presence. That's what I would say. So ladies, I have gone over a little over here, but I really just wanted to share as much as I could here. And I want you to write down one more thing. One of my mentors taught me this, and this is really, really something that I think about a lot. Write this in your journal, ladies. He's talking about relationships here. Relationships come together out of these few things. Write this down. United out of love, together out of choice, joined out of desire, intimate out of want, bound out of need, held out of should, tied out of have to. So you write those down. You might have to listen to this again, this recording, and ask yourself, where do I sit in there? The best relationship of all, from my own experience and all that I've learnt on this journey of life, is being together out of choice and out of love. They are the two ones that I like to sit in. I love being together with my friends out of choice, out of love, my partner out of choice, out of love, my family, my community, my co-workers out of choice and out of love, not out of need or having to or feeling like I should, It's so empowering, and I learnt that from one of my mentors who I love working with, Dr. John Demartini. And so wrapping up today, ladies, I want to wrap up with 3 things that I'll always say. The thing that will make a relationship stand the test of time is being yourself. Your true, intrinsic, or authentic self. And I know that word gets thrown out there a lot these days, but be truly you, and that will help your relationship stand the test of time. And so wrapping up, the 3 things that I always say to people when they say, how do I turn my life from frustration to fabulous and successful? Decide and commit to be responsible for your own happiness, and choose to be independent of needing another person to turn up and make you happy in your life. Do that for yourself. Be love, and you will be loved. Number 2, become empowered in all areas of your life so that you don't become overpowered by someone, therefore feeling like an underdog. And as I talk about all the time, the Live Now formula will help you do that. But I'm talking all areas of life in your health, wealth, and happiness. Become empowered. Work more on you than anything else, and you will see the opportunity abound right before your eyes. And number 3, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, getting the right mentors, and having responsibility on yourself to track and turn up, and the mentors and the people that will help and uplift you and cheer you on to success. They're the 3 things that have helped me go from a life of misery and frustration to a life I love living. And Jess, I hope this podcast has really answered your questions. Ladies, I look forward to our next podcast next week, where I'm going to delve in to another hot topic, which I'll let you know in time what that is. And give me a love heart or a thumbs up if you've loved this podcast and you found it valuable and you got lots of notes, girls. You've learnt something about relationships, about love, about how to have a long-term happy relationship that serves both of you. I have loved doing this podcast with you beautiful butterflies. I love these love hearts. I'm giving you a big cyber hug. I'm getting all tongue-tied now, aren't I? A big cyber hug. Lots of kisses. Thank you, ladies. This has been my favorite podcast to date. Having you ladies in my community be with me live has meant the world to me. And I thank you so much for being here in my life. You've made my life so amazing, so much more fulfilled, and I love and appreciate each and every one of you for who you are. And remember, ladies, it doesn't matter who you are, where you've come from with any relationship. All that matters is where you are right now, and today is the beginning of a brand new chapter of life and creating that life that you truly deserve and want in every area: wealth, health, and happiness. All right, you beautiful ladies, I'm going inside the community now, and I'm going to love heart all of your comments. If you've got any feedback, comments, please give it to me inside here. I would so appreciate your help, and let me know if you've liked this version of the podcast where I'm here live with you, because I know I certainly have, and I can't wait to share more and more of my wisdom and love with you all, helping you go from frustrated to fabulous. Have a beautiful day, ladies. Bye for now. See you next week. Now, we've really covered a lot today, and I truly hope you found massive value, and I'm looking forward to delving in more in episodes up and coming. So till next week, I really appreciate you tuning into the G'day Gorgeous podcast that empowers women for life, which help you go from feeling frustrated to fabulous in health, wealth, and happiness. And if you liked this episode and you truly got value from it, I would be super grateful if you'd take just 30 seconds and leave me a review and pay it forward by sharing this podcast with your friends and your family and others you know who would truly benefit from these life success lessons also. Lastly, to find out more about my select coaching for women, my new book in audio, paperback, journals and diaries, and all wonderful stories about other women that I've helped live their dream life, head over to my website now, gdaygorgeous.com. And until next week, gorgeous, be courageous, be fabulous, and I'll see you on the inside. Bye for now.